Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar, What's Working in Email Marketing Today. Our guest presenter is Bob Bly, copywriter and Internet Marketing Strategist. Before we get started, a few quick items. Please ask questions in the panel here on the presentation. We'll try to make this as interactive as possible and work in some of the questions. If you can, please also follow us on Twitter. If you want to follow with a tag or post anything with email marketing, hashtag email marketing, that would be great. Additional information, this webinar is being recorded. It will be available on our website at www.pinpointe.com/blog. You can just search for webinar. You'll see it up there. And if you like our content today, please do share it, tweet it, like us on Facebook, check for us on LinkedIn. That would be great. For today's attendees, we have two different offers. For Pinpointe, if you'd like to give us a shot afterwards or give us a try, feel free to try our 1-month free service. That's a subscription from anywhere from 5,000 emails to 100,000 emails per month. That's a value of anywhere from $49 to $550. On Bob Bly's site, if you'd like, Bob has 4 free marketing reports worth over $100. You're welcome to go over and download those at www.bly.com/reports. He's made those available for folks. Very helpful, in particular some stuff there on business-to-business marketing also. So with that, let us give you just a 60-second overview on Pinpointe and Bob Bly, and then we'll dive right into our content. Pinpointe is a business-class email marketing solution. We have over 6,000 companies using the Pinpointe platform, and we focus primarily on mid-sized, some smaller, and primarily mid-sized companies. We now work with both business-to-business and business-to-consumer. You'll see throughout the presentation we'll make reference to B2B and B2C. For those of you perhaps not familiar, B2B means business to business, and B2C means business to consumer. Pinpointe has a lot of features. It's a very feature-rich interface. We have a spam checker to pre-check your spam score before you send your email out. You can do split testing, multivariate testing, drip marketing campaigns, and so forth. A lot of features you would typically find in marketing automation, but at email marketing prices. We also have an agency and enterprise version that's dedicated cloud-based instance for dedicated instance of software, email servers, and IP addresses, and so forth for customers who need larger quantities and larger scale. It also includes your branding. So we've had customers say, Pinpoint's kind of like Constant Contact on steroids. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to today's guest speaker, Bob Bly. Bob is an internet strategist and copywriter. As I've said, he's written over 75 books. And with that, Bob, welcome aboard today, and tell us a little bit more about yourself, and let's dive into the presentation.
Well, as you said, Craig, I'm a copywriter specializing in direct response, and I do a lot of work on the Internet with specifically email marketing and landing pages. I've been on national TV and radio many times. I was on the CBS show Hard Copy. National Enquirer ran a 2-page feature article about me, but I don't discuss that unless held at gunpoint. My clients include IBM, Medical Economics, AT&T, BOC Gases, and many others. And I help clients with their email marketing, copywriting, direct marketing, and much more. Can we go to the next slide, please? So let's start off. What's the best way to get your emails opened and read? The best way I know of is to follow what's called the organic model of email marketing, or the Agora model, named after Agora Publishing, the company that pioneered it. And they're a large publisher with an e-list of about 350,000 names. And what they found is they've sort of based this on a study that was reported in DM News, where it says marketers need to enter the emerging inner circle of trusted companies from whom people are willing to keep reading emails. And they found in that report that the average person has 16 sources for email, in which when they get it, based on the from line, and they see the source, they will open and read it almost automatically. Most other email, they click away, they avoid, they put in their spam folder, they don't look at. So the key, the most successful part of the most important part of successful email is actually who is it from, and is it from someone that the recipient trusts and will respond to. So if you can enter that inner circle and become one of those 16 companies from which your prospect always reads the email, you're going to have huge results, a huge boost in results. And the way you do that is to, or one way to do that, and probably the best way, is to use the Agora model, and this is shown on the next slide. In the Agora model, you use a variety of traffic generating methods shown in the yellow ovals. They include organic search, pay-per-click advertising, co-registration deals, blogging, banner ads, print postcards, and social media, and more. But instead of driving the traffic to your homepage, your website's homepage, or to a page on a product, you drive it to a page whose only function is to get people to sign up for a free online newsletter. In Agora's case, it's the Daily Reckoning or dailyreckoning.com. And when traffic is driven there and people sign up for this free e-newsletter, they have to opt into your list, and they become part of your house e-list. You have their name, their email address, and they've opted in, so you have permission to email them. And that's how the Agora model works. Then, if you look at those green ovals at the bottom, by placing ads for your products and services within your free e-newsletter, or more importantly and more effectively, sending solo emails to that list, you're going to make sales and generate revenues. And the important point to remember is that in direct mail, your house list always outperforms rented lists, and it is the same in email marketing. Your house file of opt-in email addresses always outperforms rented lists, and that's why we use the Agora model to build up a huge responsive house e-list. And not only is it more responsive, but since you own the names, you can email to it at very little, virtually no cost, versus renting a list at $100 to $300 per thousand. Next slide, please. Lots of marketers, large and small, use this method. In an article in B2B, they found that Hewlett-Packard, they did a profile of Hewlett-Packard, and found that Hewlett-Packard had 4.5 million opt-in names subscribing to their e-newsletters. I think there were 6 of them, 6 e-newsletters. When they emailed to these newsletter readers, they had a 5 times higher click-through rate than sending emails to subscription lists, the catalog list, and other rented lists. The subscribers on this list spent $60 million total a month at Hewlett-Packard's website, and their revenue per subscriber was triple the revenue of the average customer. Also, there was a 30% churn rate, so that's the downside. People will drop off of your list for a variety of reasons. They don't like your emails anymore. They're too busy to read them. And you have to then use those yellow ovals to generate more traffic and get more signups just to maintain the size of the list. Otherwise, it'll start to evaporate. Next slide. Now, if you say, if you're a smaller company, and you say, we don't want to have a free e-newsletter because, frankly, it's too much work, we don't have anyone to put it together, which is something I do hear a lot from smaller companies, you can use a variation of the Agora model called the online conversion model. And you can do this with, it's basically the same, but it has one variation. Instead of using all those yellow ovals, those traffic generation methods, again, search engines, pay-per-click, postcards, PR, co-registration deals, to drive traffic to a page offering a free newsletter, you drive traffic to a page offering a free one-shot content offer, which might be a special report, might be a downloadable MP3. It doesn't have to be electronic. It could be a CD, a DVD, but in that case, you also need to get their physical address. So if you want to keep it purely online, you make it a downloadable premium or offer piece of content. Doesn't have to be long, doesn't have to be complex. Then, when you get these people responding and asking for your free premium, you use a series of emails, which we call an online conversion series, shown at the bottom, to convert people who have requested your free information to people who will buy your product. And you do this with two kinds of emails. The first emails in the series are what we call free touch. They establish a relationship with the person on your list. They tell them a little bit more about who you are, how you can help them. They may talk about the value of the free content that they download, that the people downloaded. Say, on page 7 there's this great table. You ought to read that. So those are the free touch, and the first couple of emails in the series are free touch, shown in red and blue here. After that, you switch to conversion, shown in the green, yellow, and purple. And conversion emails try to take the person who downloaded the free content and get them to buy something, even if it's something small. So they make the transition from a prospect into a customer. And it typically says, hey, we know from your download of this report, you're interested in customer relationship management. You can download a trial version of our CRM software risk-free for 30 days. And that might be the introductory offer to convert people who are leads requested the free information to paid information. And we generally find that on an email list, 90% of the people who on the list who will buy something will do so within the first 90 days of being on your list. So there's an incentive to get them to act now instead of later, which is why we use an email conversion series. Next slide, please. Here are some tips from Don Rainley, a communications professor who gave a presentation at NEPA, the Newsletter Publishers Association. And his tips make a lot of sense to me. Number 1, write for Surface and scanners. Unlike a newspaper reader who might read a whole article, most people tend not to read the entire email. They tend to scroll through it, skim, surf, and scan. So write for those readers in mind. Number 2, provide information quickly and easily. It ought to be written and designed so at a glance you get the key information you need about the offer or the product. And I'll show you a little later in the presentation some examples of those designs. Number 3, think both verbally and visually. Sometimes a text email is all you need because you just need to communicate a message and the prospect doesn't need to see anything for the sale to be made. But other times, let's say you were selling beachfront condos, you want to see beautiful color photos of the condos with the ocean in the background. Then you need to think verbally and think, HTML email with a really nice glamour shot photo. So think both verbally and visually. Number 4, use lots of lists and bullets. That makes the email easier to read for surfers and scanners. And having the product features or benefits in bullets not only makes it easier to read, but it makes it look like there's a lot of material there. People see the list of bullets and they go, oh, there's 7 great benefits or there's 6 advantages. So using bullets makes it look like you've got a lot of reasons why they should buy your product. Number 5, write in chunks. Don't write a subject line and then one unbroken email with long text and long paragraphs. Use multiple subheads within the email and short sections of copy, a paragraph or 2 under each subhead, so the person can digest it in bite-sized chunks. And number 6, use hyperlinks. Use the hyperlinks to send people to an area or location on the web where they can take the next step, whether it's to request a free demo or download a white paper or place an order. Use a hyperlink to bring them to a page where they can do that. Now, when it comes to writing email marketing copy, there is a formula in Persuasion called the motivating sequence that fits email ideally. And basically, it has 5 parts. Number 1, it says you have to get attention. You have to do something to get attention, and that usually takes place in the from line and the subject line and the banner or headline of the email. But you've got to get the reader's attention. Number 2, you have to identify the problem that your product solves or addresses. Number 3, you have to not solve the problem, but you should position your product as the solution. Number 4, you have to offer proof that you are the best solution to this problem and not other products or your competitors. And number 5, you have to ask for action. Give them a reason to click on that hyperlink and go to your landing page or your order page now instead of later. Next slide. So here is an example of an email that fits this classic motivating sequence. It's for a handheld computer used to measure and perform various functions in cold temperature environments, like inside a meat locker or a freezer. And if you look at it, it follows the classic sequence. Number 1, get attention. Well, that's done in the banner at the top of the email. There's a picture of the product, a photo of the product, which is attention-getting because it's a neat-looking gizmo. Sort of looks like the Star Trek tricorder. And then there's a big headline. Now, from watching cop shows, we know when you hear the term freeze, you should put your hands up and not move. It stops you. So here the headline is one word, freeze. But it's related to the proposition, which is measuring cold temperature. And then the subhead tells you what's going on, introducing the new 7530 handheld computer. Next, the copy states the problem. It says, do you need a handheld computer that operates at the same temperatures as cherry berry fudge chunk ice cream, negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit? You couldn't state the problem more accurately or precisely. And then the next couple of paragraphs expand on that. Then, step 3, they offer the solution, which is the product, introducing the 7530 handheld computer. And you notice it's a hyperlink. You can click on that if you're convinced that you want to know more and you don't have to read the email further. You don't have to scroll to the bottom. You can click on that and take the next step right there. Step number 4 is offering proof, and you'll notice there's a paragraph followed by some bullet points, which are the features of the device, which are the proof that it's a superior technology. And then step number 5, at the end of the email, using a play on words, they have another hyperlink, and they say, get the cold, hard facts here. So you can get more information on the product, and again, it plays into that cold and freezing theme. So here's a classic example of application of the motivating sequence in email marketing. Next slide, please. So what are the parts of the email? Well, you pretty much know this already. But as we discussed, the from line is the most important. So from Carol Smithfield, IBM, Director of Executive Education, if I'm on the IBM list, or if I'm an IT director or someone who cares about what IBM is doing, they're going to be one of those 16 sources from which I always read and open emails. So you want to have not just Carol's name, but you want to have IBM in the front line. The subject line is the next thing that determines whether people open the email or not, and it should be limited to 35 to 40 characters, because beyond that, depending on the recipient's email reader, it tends to get cut off. You'll notice in this email there is a link in the second paragraph. In traditional direct mail, we just have the call to action at the end of the letter, but in email marketing, we try to have it several times, at least at the beginning and the end, and maybe a couple of times in the middle, like with the handheld freezer example that we just saw. And I like this, here it's in the second paragraph, and I like to always have the link by the time I get to the third paragraph. I never want to go farther than that with at least having one link, and there's a reason. And the reason is that there's some people, some readers, when they get your message, they look at it and they see right away, I'm interested in this. If so, don't you want to give them the ability to respond right now? Why would you force them to scroll and scroll through the email to find your hyperlink? In direct mail, they wouldn't have that problem, because if they wanted to act now, the elements of the direct mail package have fallen out of the envelope and the order card is right in front of them. So you need to put in a call to action earlier in the email because we're on a screen and there's no separate elements, no separate response element as a piece. Here we have the bullets again, and then the link in the close. And then we have opt-out language, where we tell basically the reader basically, if you don't want to get emails from us of this type, you should just click here and you can get taken off our list. And the reason to do this is when you do this, people who actually don't want your emails are removed, and this eliminates the chances of you getting spam complaints where people say, hey, this company's emailing me even though I don't want to hear from them anymore. So you end with opt-out language. You can also have it at the beginning, too. It depends on your preference. There's no rule of thumb about that. Next slide, please.
Hey, Bob, let me just add to this. This is a really important slide. There's a lot of good hidden nuggets there. To add some additional background and validation for you, at Pinpointe here, we've recently done a webinar where we summarized some results from analyzing several 100 million email campaigns. And to drive some of Bob's points home here, first is we found a huge drop-off in the performance level once the subject line went beyond 40 characters. So when we compared, for example, the response rate of 40 to 50 characters versus 70 or 80 characters, for example, which is more common we've seen in a lot of customers, the difference is on the order of 2 times or greater performance improvement. So it's a big difference. It's not just 5 or 10%. Your mileage may vary, but it's huge. So that's an important tip. The second is to reinforce that, and we've actually got a couple questions here on this, is number one, it's okay to calls to action or multiple links within your webinar, or excuse me, within your email. Put them in your webinar too, but within your email. So one, we've got in this example up here, as Bob mentioned, the call to action right at the very top, a whole host of reasons for that. Number two, make sure that you've got in your closing the call to action. Number three, it's perfect to have additional links that could go to different landing pages or different additional off-page information throughout your email, as well as other calls to action within the email, so or other links to the call to action. So you want to keep the topic tight, and you don't want to ramble and go on 5 different topics or 15 different topics. Keep it short and sweet, but multiple links, multiple calls to action is great. And in fact, if you check www.pinpointe.com/blog, you can search for webinars, and you can see one of the previous webinars there. There's several of them. We present some slides on the response rate based on the number of links, as well as the response rate based on the subject line. And as I said in summary, a subject line length goes down, response rate goes up, and as the number of links goes up, response rates also go up. So that's really important. And then finally, the opt-out language. Have to really stress this. We see a lot of customers that don't include this. Our system automatically, for example, as with most email companies, will add an unsubscribe link if you don't include one. So that's required for any kind of bulk email marketing. So I just want to point out a couple really important tips there that Bob's presented that are really valuable.
Craig, those are great additions. And so here's an email from a publisher of financial investment type newsletters, and it's for George Gilder, who's a technology stock analyst. And it says, love him or hate him, stock analysts know that George Gilder, in both the short term and the long run, has made a small fortune for his Gilder Technology Report subscribers. And then it tells you on why this George Gilder and his newsletter are so good. So the premium that they offer if you subscribe is a report titled 6 Stocks George Gilder is Recommending, or 6 Technology Stocks George Gilder is Recommending Today. And rather than wait to the end until they offer that, they know some people might want to just subscribe to get that. You have to subscribe to get the report. So right in the third paragraph, as Craig discussed, right up front, now you can find out the 6 stocks George Gilder is recommending today, absolutely risk-free when you click here now. So again, having multiple links, and especially one within the first 3 paragraphs, increases response. And next slide, please. Here was one study done, and I'm curious what the results for Greg's were, but this particular study, they found that they compared emails where there was one link placed at the end, deep in the body, versus multiple links throughout. And the study found that the open rate was a little higher for the one that didn't have multiple links. And you could speculate why that is so. Maybe it looked more like personal email, so people read it. But it wasn't that significantly higher. But the click-through rate was huge. There was a very tiny click-through rate when the link was buried deep in the body copy. but a 37% click-through rate when there were multiple hyperlinks throughout. So definitely I agree with what Craig is saying and what his research found, that multiple links increases response. Next slide, please. One useful technique in email marketing is viral marketing. Now, viral marketing is a whole subject unto itself, and we could do a webinar just on that. But a simple version is this. When you send someone an email, it's very easy for them to pass it on to someone else, much easier than, like for example, with direct mail, where if it's a letter, you actually have to fax the letter to someone or put it in an envelope and mail it to them. That's a lot of work. But email, you click, and it's passed on to anybody on your address book. So this company that was an online marketer of hosiery, leggings, stockings, socks, things of that nature, added they did a special discount offer in their email where you got a free sports bag if you placed an order of a certain size for hosiery. And then they said in the PS, give this special offer to your gift offer to your friends by forwarding this email now. They'll be glad you did. Very simple language, but reminding them you can pass this on. And they found that up to 81% of recipients passed it on to at least one other person. Forward, please. Here's an interesting test. This was from a mailing list company. They were trying to sell their list brokerage and list management services, primarily list brokerage here. And they sent out an email and split test 2 subject lines. One was boost sales, increase profits, and expand market awareness. And number 2 was free direct mail encyclopedia, which was a catalog they published of mailing lists with list counts. And in my seminars, I asked people to say, which one of these do you think won? Well, about 50% of the people picked the first, and their reason is that boost sales, increase profits, and expand the market awareness has 3 benefits in it. About 50%, about half of the people picked 2, and they say, well, 2 is offering something tangible that seems valuable, a direct mail encyclopedia, and it's free, and people like free offers. So the answer is that 2 was the winner. It outpulled number 1 by 25%. But the people who picked number 1 said, well, how could that be? You've got the word free in the subject line, and that triggers spam filters. And here's the explanation. It does trigger spam filters, and you can see when you put in the word free, the spam filter catches some of those emails and definitely decreases response to a certain degree. And you can see that by the red bar below the horizontal line. But to offset that, the word free is a very strong, as we know, selling word. It's probably the first or second strongest word you can use in marketing, the other one being the word you, and it boosts response tremendously, as shown by the blue bar. So if you subtract the red bar from the blue bar, your net effect is the green bar. The net effect is it's less improvement than it would be if there weren't spam filters, but it's still a significant lift in response, which would explain why free does work in subject lines. And I have tested not on millions of names, but on hundreds of thousands of names, free in the subject line and free in the email, and it does increase response. Next slide, please.
Yeah, to add to Bob to that, that's exactly right. The word free will add something to your spam score. It depends on the spam filter, but by default it'll add perhaps a half a point to your overall spam score. So we'll have some effect that may potentially put you over the top, so to speak, and have, depending on your rest of your email content, might be just enough to pop your email into a spam filter. But as Bob says, in summary, you still end up with much better results. I think the other comparison with those 2 subject lines is that the first one was substantially longer. So you've got 2 things at play. Yeah, the first subject line has 3 benefits, but it's also very long. So it's kind of breaking the length rule also that you have. So number 2 is short, sweet, and also uses free. So that combination really is powerful.
And again, it resulted in a 25% lift over number 1. Well, let's go to the next slide if we can. Here was another subject line test that I thought was interesting. This was for a free e-newsletter on business travel, and it went to business people, both business travelers and as well as corporate travel professionals. And I think there were some travel agents too in the list. And there were three subject line split tests. 1, business travel got you down. 2, traveling well is the best revenge. 3, travel tips for road warriors. And one of these outpulled the others by 50%. If you think about which one, pick one. Well, the answer was number 2. Traveling well is the best revenge. And the interesting thing about this test is that I could make an argument for each of them why they should have been the winner. Business travel got you down, asks a very engaging question. Traveling well is the best revenge, has a very emotional component to it. Best revenge. The word revenge is emotional. Travel tips for road warriors has 2 things going for it. It has tips, and people love travel tips, and people love tips. And it also has an emotional component that flatters the reader, calling them road warriors. The point is, you can think you know what the best subject line is, but you can only guess. You never actually know what the best subject line is until you test. Therefore, if you have emails in your arsenal, and I do, and many people do, that you send out multiple times, certainly one of the best investments you can make is testing subject lines, and it's easy. Here's a technique for writing stronger subject lines. It's called the 4 U's. It says that a strong subject line has 4 characteristics. Number 1, it's urgent. It gives you a reason to act now instead of later. Number 2, it's unique. You haven't heard it a million times before. Number 3, it's specific, ultra-specific. And number 4, it's useful. It has a benefit. So let's look at, in the next slide, a subject line of an email I actually received, which said free white paper. Now, the way to apply the 4 U's formula is to take your subject line that you've written and apply it by judging it against the 4 U's on a scale of 1 to 4, with 1 being very weak and 4 being very strong. And if your subject line doesn't rate a 3 or a 4 in each of these categories, what you should do is sit down and rewrite it until it does. So urgent, free white paper, no urgency, number 1. Unique, white papers are offered all over creation, not unique at all, number 1. Ultra-specific, well, free information is a even less specific offer, so at least free white paper, it tells you what you're getting, so maybe we'd rate it a 2 there, still weak. And useful, well, again, white papers have some benefit. They promise helpful content, but it doesn't tell you what that is, so again, maybe a 2, maybe a 1.5. How would you improve it? Well, just look at it and how could you improve some of these, or how can you achieve some of these 4 U goals? Urgent, free white paper, today only. You give them a time limit for when they can download it. How about ultra specific, free white paper, managing really specific. Or a benefit, free white paper, cutting software costs 50%. So again, we did those rewrites in about 2 minutes, and you can see how easy it is to strengthen your subject line using the 4 U's method. Next slide, please. Now, Craig had alluded to spam filters and words that trigger spam filters. Here are some words and terms and symbols that trigger the Outlook Express spam filter. And what's interesting is that there are some of these that just trigger the filter and have no benefit to using them in your copy, and those should be avoided. For example, success at savvy, $3 signs, MLM, things of that nature. You can avoid all these terms, and they don't add anything, so why use them? But in terms of some of these other things, yes, they will trigger spam filters, but if they have make the copy stronger, they may be worth using. And we looked at one example earlier, free. Now here's another one, money back guarantee. That's a strong phrase, but if it triggers the spam filter, maybe we can rewrite it. And we can say guaranteed or your money back. It's exactly the same idea, but that phrase does not trigger the spam filter. So if you have a term that you want to use because it's strong, but it would trigger a spam filter, see if you can rewrite it. Again, money guaranteed or your money back instead of money back guaranteed is a good example. Next slide, please.
Hey, Bob, one of the questions that just came up here is, how do I know which phrases might trigger a spam filter? I'll jump in. Most of the email service providers, many or most of the email providers, have an additional tool that will be included with the service that allows you to check for spam keywords, or spam phrases, and give you a spam score. So Pinpointe, for example, has a built-in spam checker, You can test your email campaign, run it through, and it'll tell you exactly which phrases need to be modified and how much they're increasing your spam score. And once the spam score gets beyond a certain threshold, it is almost guaranteed to go into the spam folder. So anyway, there are some free tools online. Also, one I'll throw out is it's a paid-for-service is a product called Litmus that's also a very good product for preview and spam checking, and that's litmus.com. We're not affiliated with them, but they have a great product too, so I mentioned there for that testing.
And another one is called Spam Assassin that a lot of people use. And as Craig said, they tell you what words in your email, they highlight them, are triggering the spam filter so you can remove or rewrite them. So we talked about how important the from line is, but what should be in the from line? Well, there's about 3 different choices. Number 1, the from can be from the list owner. If it's you, it would be your list. Now, if you're renting someone else's list, it would be from the list source. And when would you make it from the list owner? When the list owner requires it. If you're renting a list, most list owners require that the from line be from them. When the source of the list is a community of interest. When it's an e-zine list. When it's a popular quality, the list from a popular quality site, or a site that gets frequent and repeat visitors. So when should the from line be from your company? Well, especially when you're a well-known company or brand or a market leader. If you're in the software arena and you're Microsoft, your from line should be from Microsoft. Also, the recipient, if you're a leader, may think that they actually are your customer. If you say Microsoft to an IT professional, they figure even if they don't have personally in their area a Microsoft product, it's got to be somewhere in the data center. So they better read it. The from line can also be from you if it's a personal message, a me to you type message. If you are a well-known person to the recipient, a guru or celebrity or someone important in their life, or if your company is not well known to the recipients, better to use your name than a strange company name they never heard of. And copywriter Ivan Levison has a little technique. Instead of having the from line as the company name, like from Adobe, he'll put team, from the Adobe team. And he says the reason he does this is it creates a sense, an impression that there's a caring professional team behind the message being sent. So those are the choices from the list owner, your company, or you. Next slide. Let's talk about some more email copywriting tips. Begin with a killer headline and lead-in sentence. Get in a really strong benefit right up front. In the first paragraph of the email, deliver a mini version of your complete message. You want them to know what you're talking about and why they should be interested and what the offer is. Next, present expanded copy that covers the features, the benefits, proof, and other information, like those bullets in the handheld computer example. And repeat the offer and response in the close of the email as in a traditional direct mail letter. Let's go to the next slide. Use wide margins in a text email. 60-character line width is standard. Avoid using words in all caps. Be concise. Remember, readers skim and scan the messages quickly. Get the important points across at a glance, which you can do with bullets or subheads. The tone should be helpful, friendly, informative, even educational, not promotional or hard sell. Make it sound like you're educating them rather than selling them. Next slide, please. When is text better than HTML? The argument is always, should I do a text email or should I do an HTML email? Text is usually better than an HTML when the audience is used to seeing text. You should always, in your promotional email, send the same format that the audience is used to seeing in their regular emails from the same source, the source of the list. So text is best when the audience is used to getting text emails, when they are information seekers, when image branding is not important, when the product is not a visual product, and when the message has when it's person-to-person, or you want it to have a person-to-person tone, because When you send a personal email, it's text, and therefore a text email looks like a personal email. But there are situations when HTML is better than text, the opposite. Next slide, please. So when is text not better than HTML? It's, well, when the audience is used to HTML, when the image is important. Here's a promotion from the Motley Fool, the financial publisher of newsletters and newspaper columns, and their image is very important. They use the Motley Fool icon showing there, the jester, to identify them, and you can't do that in a text email, so they've got to use HTML. So image is important. Branding is key. The product is visual. You have to show a picture of the product. And the message is from a business. It could be B2C or B2B. Now, there's a third option that sort of combines both. I wouldn't say the best of both, but it's text in an HTML shell, where the newsletter is basically, or the email is basically designed to look pretty much like a text message, but is actually executed in HTML. So it looks like text, but unlike text, it allows graphics and fonts. You notice in this email there's some italics and some boldface. You can do that in email, in HTML email. Can't do that in text email. You can track HTML in a shell like you can regular HTML message, track the open rate, which you can't do with text, and they're ideal for business-to-business in particular email messages. Next slide, please. When do you use a picture? Well, when you can't explain the product just in text, or you can't explain it clearly or quickly just in text, you can communicate the idea a lot better with a picture often. Here's an email from the Vermont Country Store with the headline, "Get any room in your house, cool any room in your house fast without air conditioning." So it's an intriguing promise. I want to cool my rooms. I want to cool them fast, but how can I do that without air conditioning? And the answer is a vertical fan, but to that, most people, that doesn't mean that much. So they show you what it looks like, and you say, oh, yeah, this is one of those rotating fans that's vertical and on a pole that you place in the center of the room so you don't need a window, unlike a window rotary fan. So the picture, you know, in this case, is worth 1,000 words. Next slide, please. We talked about how do you lay out sections for skimmers and scanners. Well, one technique I find very helpful is get a piece of graph paper and a pencil and sketch a box that's the shape and size of the email you want to send out. Is it going to be square? Is it going to be lengthier and be more of a vertical rectangle? And then divide it with lines, horizontal and vertical lines, into sections, and each section has a different purpose of copy. So in this email, our first section is at the top. It's a banner. It's a horizontal rectangle with the headline, "Business Writing and Grammar Skills Made Easy and Fun, Save 10% Now." That's A. B, they've divided below, they've created a square in which they've placed the offer, the discount offer. C, next to B, they've created a horizontal rectangle where they have very conveniently, easily seen. Remember, we talked about the information clear at a glance. This email is really clear at a glance. You can see the locations of the seminar, the dates, press a button to register, or press a button to get more information. So to make your emails clear and scannable, conceive of a modular design and use graph paper and a pencil to do it until you have something that looks logical and pleasing to the eye. Next slide, please. Make it timely. This is an email I received 2 days before Mother's Day. Now, we know other media are not as easy to make timely, to time accurately. For example, how many people listening to this have ever gotten in the mail, in the snail mail, an invitation to a seminar that is already over? This won't happen in email. So anytime you make the email timely, again, Mother's Day gifts the day or before, or 2 days before Mother's Day is very timely. And anytime you make it timely, your response rates go up. Next email, please. Here's another way to make it timely. Tie in your email with news or current events. Financial publishers who sell investment information and stock market newsletters and options trading courses know that if something in the economy, some financial news of today or yesterday is not in their email, the response rate plummets. So make it timely, and this works with all fields. But here's an example of an investment newsletter, a stock market newsletter called Torpedo Watch, which identifies companies that they think are going to explode and plummet in share price. And the headline is "Stay one step ahead of the market, just like Martha Stewart, ... but without her legal liability." And I think what makes this work, although that's a strong headline, is that they have a picture of Martha Stewart holding the umbrella, standing on the courthouse steps. And during the time this email was broadcast, that was used, and was used in a number of several times, during that time, this picture was in the newspaper, usually on the front page every day in black and white, showing Martha Stewart on the courthouse steps, literally holding the same umbrella. So it created a shock of recognition and had that timely feel. And again, this did very well. Next email, please. This one is based on a principle that we used to practice, or still practice, when selling online lower-priced consumer products, products priced $100 or under. We had the rule of 10-10, which said we knew that email buyers want a specific discount. They want to know that they're getting a special offer that other people aren't getting, that people just walking into the store or buying from the print catalog are not getting. So in your email, you have to offer them that, but it doesn't have to be huge. You don't have to give up a lot of your margin to do it. The rule of 10-10 says that for a product of $100 or under, if you give them a discount of just 10% off or $10 off, they'll be more than satisfied, and there's no need to offer anything more. Obviously, you multiply the dollar discount, if it was a more expensive product, on a $1,500 reclining chair, $10 off doesn't do much, but $100 off will. So the rule of 10-10, email customers want to think they're getting a special deal, give it to them, but it doesn't have to be a huge discount, 10% or $10 or something of that equivalent. Next slide, please. Here's an email that, again, uses news like the Martha Stewart email. This is selling a book on gold that was published back when gold was around $1,000 an ounce. And in the book, the author predicted that it would go to $2,000 an ounce. That was a bold prediction, and it looks like it's coming true. Or, we had a setback yesterday, but it looks like it's on the overall trend to come true. And the title, the headline, and the title of the book are "The New Bull Market in Gold." And the promise is buy gold today and double your money. Meaning, if gold was $1,000 today and the author is right and it goes to $2,000 an ounce, you will double your money. Then they say we guarantee it or your money back. Well, you can't guarantee that gold will reach $2,000. No one can do that, but you can guarantee their satisfaction with his advice. So they said basically if gold doesn't go to $2,000, return the book anytime and we'll give you your money back. Use an Autoresponder Series. We looked at that with the online conversion series, but you can do that in many situations. For example, this marketer sells beauty products, and she said if you opt into her list, you would get the 7 beauty myths and how to know the truth about each, something like that. So each email in the Autoresponder series did a different myth in sequence, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here's number 3. It says, myth number 3, you must be skinny to be beautiful. And each email, says what the myth is and then explodes it with the truth, overcomes the myth. So a very logical way to organize an Autoresponder series. Next, please. Here's an email that I thought was very mediocre. It wasn't sophisticated. I don't think a lot of work was put into it. Wasn't really very strong copy, but yet it got a 30% open rate, and that's because it had video in it. Most of us on this call don't use video nearly enough. We don't use it enough on our emails. We don't use it enough on our websites. But video works, and every time I've added it to one of my landing pages, I've seen a 10 or 15% boost in conversion rates. And in email, it seems to work even better. Here, 46% of the people who got this viewed the video, even though it's a pretty ordinary video. But look what's happening on YouTube. Things that you and I might say are ridiculous or again fairly ordinary. If they catch fire, they become viral, and millions of people watch them. So video is powerful, and it's something to think about for your email marketing. Next slide, please. Get personal. If you're writing from one person to another, use a personal tone. Here, look at this email, and I'll substitute for first name, my name. So it starts off saying, Bob, I've got some incredible news for you. Hi, Bob. It's been a while since I've sent you anything, but I've been hard at work on creating some new audio masterpieces. Speaking of that, in case I forget to say it before, thank you for giving my eTNA audio a try. So it has a very conversational look. It looks like a personal email. It sounds like a person writing to you, and it had an open rate of 29%. Next slide, please. So to sum it up, tie in with current events. The more timely, the better. Your best prospects are people who already know you, people who have opted in to your e-list. Work the funnel with them. They started out asking for free stuff. You want to sell them a first product on the front end, usually a lower price product, and then upsell them to premium products and services. Selling is basically the same online and offline. If you have to say certain things offline or even in live sales presentations to get people to buy your product, you're going to have to say those same things in email and web. It may take a different format. It may be written so that it's easier to read, or it may be broken up into several segments, an email, a web page, an order page, but you basically have to say the same thing. However, there are a few important differences between offline and online copywriting. They're not huge, but they are important, and they make a difference in your response rate. One was, for example, including links. As Craig said, the more links that you include, the greater your response rate. And this contrasts with offline marketing, where, let's say, in print ads and the mail packages, we only ask for the order once. Colors make more of a difference in online copywriting, and you should definitely test colors in your email and on your web pages. So I want to thank you for being with us. I'm going to turn it back over to Craig.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Bob, for the presentation, for all the great information. These slides are available online, or will be available online shortly at the Pinpointe blog, pinpointe.com/blog. For those, just in summary, if you'd like to download Bob's reports, you can go to www.bly.com/reports. As I mentioned at the very beginning, you can also subscribe to Bob's direct response letter, which is really valuable. But he also has 4 reports here that are free, worth about $100. And again, in Pinpoint's case, if you'd like to give us a test or take us for a test run, there's a coupon code that you can use that'll give you a free 3-month worth of service. It's valued anywhere from $40 to $550, depending on what service level you sign up. Again, we do appreciate everybody's joining. Thanks so much, and we hope to see you or hear from you in our future events too. Thank you very much.